Hello, welcome to my channel. Ellarie here. So as some of you guys may know, the very few of you guys who watched my last vlog, if you haven't already, go check that out. But I went to France recently with Benefit Cosmetics, where they launched their Brow Contour Pro. You guys probably have all seen this by now. It's like a click pen for all your brow needs. I didn't get to play with it that much in France. There was just a lot going on. So obviously I wanted to do a video where I show you guys up close what it does, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, the pros, the cons, all that good stuff usually when I review. So yeah, that's why we're here. But before I get started using it, I'll just show you guys what it looks like and what its purpose is. Like I said, it's the Brow Contour Pro. Looks like this. If you ever used a click pen back in the day, that's pretty much what it looks like. Each pen comes with 4 different shades. One is a deep shade, a light shade, a definer shade, and a matte highlighting shade. And you just click them down to get to whatever shade you need. And you twist the pen to have the product come out the tip. So this one is Brown Black Deep, which is the darkest one, I believe, of all 5 pen shades, which I usually don't use the deepest of like the shades when it comes to brow products. I'm always usually like 2 or 1 or 2 like before the deepest one, but I wanted to get the most out of the clicks, and I liked the definer shade in this one, so I felt like I could at least get a brow shade and a concealer shade out of this. So it was a better option to me than getting a lighter shade where I could use only the brow shade and not the definer shade, if that makes sense. But ultimately, you're supposed to use the deeper shade towards the tip of the brow and the lighter shade towards the beginning. Blend in as necessary, define the outside, and then highlight the brow bone if, you know, you highlight your brow bone. Very important to mention that this is not a pencil. A lot of people keep saying that it's too creamy, but it's not a pencil. Even though it looks like a pencil when it comes out, it's pretty much like a pomade in a stick. Like, it's meant to be creamier than a pencil. So that's where I'm going to start first, because that's going to determine how I use it and why I'm going to use it differently than I would use my pencil. So let's get started. Here are my brows. I have nothing on my face, which is usually always how I start my brows. I don't even like to have primer on my face when I start my brows, because I just like this area to be, you know, dry as I apply pencils or pomades, because I don't want any oils mixing in with the product as I'm applying it. So I'm going to click the lighter shade and twist it on down. Just want a little bit poking out, because you can always twist down more as needed, but it's better to only twist down a little bit than a lot of bit, because you can't twist it back up. So I'm just going to do my brows as I would normally. The only difference is going to be I'm using a lighter hand, because like I said, it's not a pencil, so it's going to come off a little bit more creamier, and I don't want to apply too much, you know? Better to apply a little than a lot. So I'm going to hold it more towards the end as opposed to like all the way down here like I'm writing. I'm going to hold it further back. And I'm not going to start all the way in the inner corner. I'm going to start a little further back and just use a light hand to define the outline of my brow. My brows definitely need to be trimmed down a little bit first. I didn't notice how long they are. Things grow faster than my edges. Alright, now I'm gonna do the same thing at the top, and I'm gonna start even further back, because my brow is pretty full right here, so I don't need to add too much product to the front. Alright, now that I have it outlined, before I add anything to the negative space, like all these little gaps in my brow, I'm gonna brush them out first, which is what I always do and what you should always do when applying a pencil or pomade. It just helps you from prevents you from adding too much product, because when you brush in the product to your hairs, you're kind of spreading the product out, and you're putting it in places that you would probably add more to that you don't need to add more to, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna brush the product into those little negative spaces and brush away some of these harsh lines. See, so now I have way less negative space from brushing it in first as opposed to just going straight in with the product. So now I'm just going to use the same shade, and I'm going to kind of gently stroke into some of those little sparse areas. Like I said, not adding much, because it's going to blend out when you brush through with the spoolie. Then I'm going to brush them in again and just make sure the product is even throughout. Brushing the hairs down to see if there's any more gaps that I might have missed. So that's pretty much all I need to do as far as the brow shade is concerned and the shading is concerned. Now I just need to clean it so it doesn't look so, you know, caterpillary. So I'm gonna click the definer shade, which is pretty much kind of like a concealer, a little matte concealer. And I'm gonna clean the outside of the brow to make it look more polished. And with this shade, I am gonna start even further out from the brow just so that I get that straight line until I reach the heart. And the best way to clean your brows kind of starts when you add the pencil or pomade. It's always better to go like slightly below your natural hairline. That way when you're cleaning with concealer, you're not going over your hairs. You're just cleaning up the product, making it look nice and crispy. Now I'm going to blend the concealer out. You can either use your finger. I have nails though, so I'm going to use this flat angle brush from Zuva. It is their, what number is this? 317 wing liner brush. I had to buy this in France when I didn't have my luggage. We all know that story. And it's really flat and precise, so I like it to clean my brows. Gonna carefully brush through them once again. Usually after I clean them, I'm really careful with the spoolie to like keep the clean line. So I'm just gonna carefully brush through them one last time. Add some brow gel. This is their brow setter. And this is pretty much all I normally do on a regular day. I just use the brow shade and then clean it with concealer. I usually don't highlight. But this highlighter shade isn't super duper light. It is matte. It does not shimmer, which I like because, you know, I don't really do shimmer brow highlighting that often anyway. So I'm just going to only add a tad bit of this. The definer and the highlighter can both be used to clean your brow. It just depends on how light you like to go with it. And that's it. Let's get closer so you can see the before and after. This is my struggle brow over here. And this is my clean, filled in brow contour. Alright, so now I'm gonna do the other brow real quickly, same way. And then I'm gonna come back and let you guys know the pros and the cons, the cons of the Brow Contour Pro by Benefit. Alright, so let's get down to the pros and the cons for moi when it comes to this. And before I even start, just because they sent me to France now, and just because I had the time of my life and got to do some really cool things, and they are my fam, my Benefam, does not mean that I'm not going to be honest about how I feel about this product, because I feel like it does not benefit them, no pun intended, to not say how I really feel about it, because that will prevent them from making improvements in the future when they're taking everybody's opinions into consideration. If people are lying about how they feel about it, whether it be an influencer or just a fan of the brand, it doesn't help them to improve products in the future if we aren't giving our honest opinion about what we like and what we don't like about it. Okay? Just gotta put that out there. Now let's start with the pros. What I love about it, first of all, it's innovative, like a click pen for your brows. Like, it's super innovative and a fun idea, one that I feel like is very genius. I love that it's multi-use and it's very creative. I also love the shape of it because, like I said, this is not a pencil. It's pretty much a pomade and a pen or pencil form. So I like that they kind of made a pen version of Ka-Brow, because if you're a fan of Ka-Brow and the formula, you probably will like this as well. Now, because it is creamy, if you already don't like creamy based eyebrow products, then this probably won't be for you. If you have really oily skin, I'm not sure how this one is going to do for you, because it is a cream based product. If you already use cream bases for your brows, like you use pomades, then it probably won't make you any difference. But if you do not like the texture of pomades, then this probably won't be for you. I have pretty much normal skin when I'm at home. Like in Atlanta, I don't really have any problems with being too oily or anything like that. But in different climates, I turn into a deep fryer. Like, I can literally cook things on my face. It just gets super, super oily. So this probably wouldn't be one that I would use in like different climates where I'm super oily. It's just, I don't like how they get kind of darker. Sometimes that happens when the oils mix in with it. It gets a little darker, and I don't personally like that when my skin is super oily. So in Atlanta, I'm fine with it. I use pomades in this climate because this is my home. My skin is used to this type of climate, so it really wouldn't make a difference for me when I'm at home, except for when I'm traveling. You definitely, especially since this isn't technically the shade I would normally use and it's a little darker, a light hand is key to whether I think you like this product or not. Like if you already like her brow and pomades and you don't like this, it's probably because you need to practice more with applying it, because when I first applied it, I went in a little too heavy and it was kind of difficult to be really precise. But now that I have used it like this is like my third time maybe, I kind of understand now like a light hand goes a long way. I didn't even re-click when I outlined and filled them in, because you really don't need much, because the product is like a pomade. I'm not keep saying that a bajillion times, but I feel like if you treat it that way, you would probably have a different opinion on it if you didn't like it the first time you used it. Lastly, I like how the concealer or the definer shade is more of a dry matte, because it really helps you, especially since the brow shade is more of a cream. I was able to clean it much easier because of its texture. So you definitely want to keep these in a room temperature, as you would with like your eyeliners, your gel pots and pomades and stuff like that. Putting them where it's too hot or too warm will definitely change the consistency of it. Now the cons. Obviously, it would be too much work for you to pick your own custom shades for the pen. Like, it's too much work for production, so I get why they didn't do that. However, I feel like that everyone, not even just shade range wise, but I feel like everyone would get more out of the pen if the pens had different click features. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So with their popular brow pencils, like this is precisely my brow, I use 4. They come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So everyone already has their favorite shade in that. It's either 1, it's either 2, it's either 3, it's either 4, it's either 5. So I personally would have loved if they would have kept the original 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades and used that as one of the clicks. And in the second click, they kept the same concealer shade that coincides with the brow shade. And for the last 2 clicks, instead of doing a highlighter and doing a light and deep shade, which I feel like more than likely people are only going to use one of those, and the highlighter shade is only a couple notches lighter than the definer shade, so you may or may not use just one of those as well. So it's 2 clicks that I feel like could have been better serviced. When you click the pen out, they have this plastic thing surrounding them, so it really doesn't matter how wide this silver hole is, so they could have made that wider and used the last 2 clicks for a angled brush and a spoolie. I just feel like a brow shade, a concealer shade, an angled brush, and a spoolie would have literally been everything you need. Since you have to use a spoolie when you do your brows and you kind of have to use a brush to clean around them, especially if you have nails, I feel like adding those 2 tools in here as opposed to 2 extra shades that people may or may not use, I would have felt like this would have been A++, 100%, 5-star ratings from everybody, because they already have shades that they love from Benefit's other Balm brow products that they would really just need to find that same shade. Then they have the concealer with it and the brush and the spoolie, and it's literally like you don't need anything else at all whatsoever for your brows. Even though I was able to use 3 out of 4 of these colors, it's always great when you can use everything. Like, that's always like, well, damn, I can use everything. 3 out of 4 is actually pretty impressive as well. So that's just the only thing that I would change about the product if it was mine and I invented it, but I didn't. So overall, I think it's a cool tool for your brows. I think my brows look pretty good. I mean, I don't know, I just they look pretty great. So if you already have one and it wasn't love at first use, I would definitely recommend giving it like a 2nd or 3rd try. And it's always convenient to have a multi-use tool to travel with. Per usual in all my reviews, this is something you just gotta try yourself to see if it works for you or if it doesn't. It's only available online right now, I believe. So when it does come to Sephora, go ahead, try it out, test it out, you know. And let me know what you guys think or how you guys feel about it. If you've tried it already, let me know what you guys think. I will leave links below to where you guys can find it. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Till next time. Mwah.